Hey guys, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. 5 big buying mistakes you can avoid. I can't wait to introduce you in just a minute. Nathan, our expert. And we're excited to help you out and make sure that you guys are equipped when you're getting ready to buy a new RV, camper, whatever you're looking for. We're excited and got some good stuff. While you're waiting for everybody to get in here, go ahead and, like Cynthia just did, find the chat area and let us know where you're watching from today. It'll be fun. We'll do some shout outs. I'm kind of curious. I'm in Ohio, up near Cleveland, Ohio, and Nathan's down at RV Wholesalers, which is located near Columbus, Ohio. But no matter where you're at, these are tips that are going to help you no matter where you end up buying your RV. In fact, the owners of RV Wholesalers said, "Hey, Tim, even though you are on payroll here or whatever, like we want you to help us." They did give me a nice hat though for free, which is cool.
Wore the same one as me.
But no, they're like, and both of these guys, David and Mike Durnell, the owners, were school teachers before this, so they love to help people, love to help educate people, I should say, and so that's why they said, "Hey Tim, can you and Nathan go and put together this little webinar today for the folks?" And just equip them. Obviously, we can't sell. That's what they said. We can't sell 600,000 RVs. And, we have plenty of people to take care of. So just help everybody, so nobody's taken advantage of. Which they get very frustrated when they see people being taken advantage of, and especially today, we're seeing a lot of that. So. Oh, great. We got lots of people coming in. Daryl, go blue. Wait, whoa. I should have the Ohio State one on here. I guess we have it on the screen. Gary in Auburn, California, way out there. Good morning, Gary. Norm in Atlanta. Very cool. Greg down in Austin, Texas. Kay, I'm traveling with others. Do you have enough? Oh, yeah. So this webinar is going to be recorded. We're going to send you a replay right about 2 hours after this. You'll get another email that says, "Thanks. If you missed it, here's the recording." So you don't have to take crazy notes. You can always watch the replay or watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to the RV Wholesalers. It's a good way to get signed up so that you can get these webinars when they come out. Cynthia, greetings in Virginia, and Ray in New York, Long Island. Awesome. Shay. DC, Rick in Texas. We got Deb right here in Ohio. Nice. Atlanta, Georgia. Glenn, Leslie. Great to have you guys. This is where you're going to put your questions. Kelly in Texas. Sandra down in Olmsted Falls. Awesome. So very cool. Throughout the time, this is about you getting answers to your questions. I'm going to download a bunch of stuff. In fact, my goal today is like this picture right here. Right behind Nathan. Actually, Nathan, turn your head to your right and see if you can match the guide on the screen. So I want you to kind of look straight ahead, look like you're and then go up and down a little bit, so like you're going down the river. And Sandra and Leslie and everybody else is in the boat right here. So you're the guide. I'll be the guide. Nathan and I will be the guides in the back of this boat, and we're going to go down some rapids, and we're going to go fast. And so hold on, everybody. The goal is to keep you in the to keep you in the boat. Now pretend like this is the environment for buying an RV. We want to guide you through, make sure that it's a fun ride, and you come out at the end and you get to camp, set up your little tent. Well, in this case, your camper, and have a great experience in the RV world. So that's our goal, and I'm excited. Been doing a lot of virtual RV shows, about 13 or 14 of them, and a lot of these webinars. Love helping people. In fact, I got my first camping experience. My dad built this. This is a little camper topper he built for our truck up in British Columbia, Canada. We went on this little trip back to Boot Lake, which was, I don't know how many miles back in the middle of nowhere. But this tree, you see the picture here, this tree? That tree was across the road, the one way into our vacation. And so we had to camp out for a night, just waiting for the forestry service to come and the tree. So we built this little lean-to. You can see the picture above there. and I'm sleeping out there in the middle of the night. I remember waking up my mom like, I want to sleep in the RV. And so she and I go sleep in the back of the camper topper thing. And the next morning, I kid you not, my brothers are walking around this campsite here with this lean-to, and they're like, Dad, look, there's giant bear prints. Huge bears had walked around our campsite during the night. And so I was really glad that I was inside an RV, not out there. And so I like to say camping RVs saved my life. So glad to have that little camper topper. And so I'm excited to help you guys get into it. And I kind of feel like we're walking around in bear territory when we start talking about how to not be taken advantage of. So let's help these folks out. You ready, Nathan?
Yes, I am.
First one is, and Nathan's been works as kind of like an RV specialist at RV Wholesalers. He's been there helping hundreds of people find the right fit for what makes sense for them. So I'm sure, Nathan, you've got some crazy stories of your customers have told you about things they've seen at other dealerships and different things. So this isn't about bashing them, but it's about making sure that you guys aren't taken advantage of today. So they're not asking for the out the door price. So why is it important when you're jumping in there to ask for that out the door price when you start comparing apples to apples, dealerships to dealerships, and all that kind of stuff?
So it just never ceases to amaze me. You get customers that are, they're $2,000 cheaper than you, $2,000 cheaper than you. So you get a little bit skeptical hearing that anyways. That's not something we're really ever used to hearing. And I always just encourage them to get the out the door. That price is going to be stacked with tons and tons of fees when you actually go and pick up your unit. You're talking, some places even do like a $1,200 walkthrough. They do a huge PDI. I've also seen an environmental fee. I don't know what that would be for. I hope there's nothing leaking from the
put a list up on the screen for our folks. And in fact, so you don't have to write all these down. I'm going to send you guys this as a PDF. So it's a 1-page free PDF. I'm going to put it over here in the chat area for you to download right about now. So it should start showing up here. So there's a free 1-page PDF for you to download. It looks just like this. It has some of these hidden fees that Nathan's starting to talk about. And we'll dive into these here in just a second. And sorry to interrupt, Nathan, but Kathy had just asked in the chat too, like, does this apply to trailers and so forth? So, Kathy, that's a great question. The reason, let's start at the basics. A lot of people, including myself, I thought an RV was a motorhome, because anytime you see a movie about RVs, it's about a motorhome, right? So RV is actually the category, at least this is the way we call it. RV is the category, and under that we have travel trailers, we have toy haulers, which are basically a camper trailer that has the back end that can lower down and has a ramp where you can put your toys up in it, and it has a little back room, or it can be a porch, whatever you want it to be. But a toy hauler, you've got your fifth wheels, which some are asking about fifth wheels. You have your park models, which are basically you drive them to a place and you leave them sit for a season. So you may not need as much on the insurance side of that or warranty side of that when you're doing that. Then you have your motorhomes. So all under the RV category, motorhomes class A, B, and C. So A's are your big ones. Your B's are your little conversion vans, and your C's are more like a truck type of cab to a camper. So anyways, just a real quick primer on that. that don't feel bad about asking about that, because that's something I had to learn 2 years ago. So very cool. All right, back to the hidden fees, guys. PDI, you said PDI. Like, what is that? And what's PDI and what that stand for, and what is it?
Yeah, that's a pre-delivery inspection. At least on here as a dealership side, we're going to run all your guys' systems. That's AC, that's going to be water heater. That's stove. Make sure all those run, sustain temperature, hold temperature, et cetera, et cetera. That's putting water in the tanks, making sure there's no leaks there on that side of things. Big thing is also the detail. Outside and inside when they're traveling here from the factory, of course. So might get a little road kick up and grime and get all that cleaned up for the customer. Don't really. I mean, it depends on how thorough you are. It's really not something that's going to take days and days and days to charge a fee for it. Seems a little crazy. It really does when it needs to be done anyways. I mean, if these dealerships aren't double checking their units from the manufacturer, I mean, they're busy, they're human, they make mistakes. You don't want to have a customer traveling here from California and they get all the way here and something don't work on their unit when they plan to use it on their way back home.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of how I see it too. It's like the dealership. I don't understand how they can charge for it, because it's almost like the second wave. I call it like the second wave of quality control check for the factory. It's almost like run it across the country, whether that's in your case only a couple hours, or if it's out in California, a lot of hours. Yeah. Give it a road test, and then the dealer, he's getting paid by the factory to fix anything under the warranty clause. And it's not like they're only paying them $50 an hour. I mean, they're paying their full rate. I mean, it's not like the dealership's not getting money from the factory. So to fix anything that would wobble loose on its maiden voyage, So I kind of see it as, this is a maiden voyage. It's paid for by the factory. Why should a dealership charge you for it? And all these fees that we're talking about, and we're going to be talking about, they're not really hidden if they tell you up front. But that's the problem. You sign a sales agreement. You put down a deposit. A lot of times people aren't even signing anything. They're just putting down a deposit saying, hey, I want that. All right, we'll hold that for you, or we'll order that for you. And then when they come back to purchase, that's when they realize, to pay the final amount or sign the final paperwork, that's when they realize, oh, there's a fee for that. Oh, there's a fee for that. Yeah, and that's when you're caught off guard. So
yeah, that's the shady part. I mean, just like if you were buying a piece of property, if you agreed on a price for that piece of property and you go in to do final closing documents and they start tacking on thousands of dollars in fees, a normal person would walk out. You kind of see that in the RV community, but you also see a bunch of first-time buyers that have never been, around this kind of knowledge and experience to really be aware of these things. And you see them getting taken advantage of on a daily basis. And it's really sad. It really is.
Yeah, man. So PDI, I mean, that's in your case, 180 points on an iPad to check all that stuff out. But it's definitely something you want done, and make sure they do it. And yeah, you can kind of tell too if you turn on your furnace and you don't smell like something burning, like the oil burning off, then that means they didn't really test that thing before you got it.
Exactly.
So PDI, you said number 3 here is this environmental fees. Have you seen some of those popping up on people that have been getting?
I have, yeah, and it's always it's not a $50 fee or something. You always see it as a couple $100, and just another one of them to maybe pay for the freight to get that unit to them. They're using that fee to pay off something that's taxed onto their dealership. Another giant one that I should kind of shake my head at, so to say, is it's going to be that walkthrough fee.
Walkthrough. I didn't even have that on the list. I need to add that.
Exactly. That's one thing I wanted to point out.
Tell me what a walkthrough is.
Yeah, a lot of new dealers, a lot of new customers, so to say, are just now getting into camping. It's something that they've seen their friends do, and they just want to get into it. You come to some dealerships, and they don't even get a walkthrough. How's that customer know how to unhook, check lights? How do they know how to dump? How do they know fill up? They have no idea how to use these components on these campers that they might have spent, $100,000 for. That's really, truly is the sad part. Every aspect of anything that you ever buy, whether it be a car or ATV, I mean, you get a walkthrough. And for a dealership to charge almost $1,200 for something that takes about 30 minutes to do, that's insanity when you're only paying somebody, $20 an hour to do that walkthrough.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was in there looking at, last week I was down at RV Wholesalers, and I saw a number of people doing their walkthroughs. It was kind of fun. They had their cameras out and they're recording it, which is a very genius idea. Like, record everything, because the guys will take as much time as you need. These are experts that will walk through everything and explain. Here's how the hot water heater. Here's how in the winter how to drain the water. Here's how to like all the different aspects. Here's how to light the pilot. It's very good information, very helpful, but Yeah, it shouldn't be charged. The craziest one I heard, Nathan, I don't know if you heard about this. I forget which guys were talking about, but they heard that one family, when they went to pick up their RV up in Michigan, but I won't go into any more details up there because we have a Michigan fan here. But he went to pick it up, and they had taken out some of the things that normally come with an RV, like the power cord. Like that's a very expensive $300 cord or $200 cord. It's very long. It's 50 amps, and they've taken that out. They took out the wheel cover, a couple other things that normally come with an RV, a griddle or something, and they separated it from the unit. And the salesperson, after they looked at their RV, they said, "Hey, would you like to purchase some accessories?" And they actually sold them back. They sold them the accessories that they needed to camp. But it's stuff that like should come with your RV, like that's just bad, That's when you should just walk away. So you should expect some of these things coming. I expect, a good dealer is going to fill the propane tanks and stuff like that. I mean, this is stuff that I know you guys don't advertise that you do, but it's just courtesy. Like, it's like when you buy a new car, the guy that fills it up, I mean, that's the dealership you like, like takes care of you, and it's going to take care of you later. If you don't see that kind of stuff, then you got to wonder, are they going to take care of you later? So number 2, transportation fees. This is an interesting one because when you're price shopping your RV, you really need to take this into account because all RVs, are built in Elkhart, Indiana, pretty much. 90% of them. It's kind of the capital of the world. I've been in there with video cameras and filmed a lot of stuff there, and a lot of different factories, and it's impressive. A lot of questions sometimes come up. Hey, what about quality? They're cranking out all these RVs. Actually, I think they're doing a little better because before COVID, they were switching like every hour. They would switch to a different model in the line. So like they're switching all the time. Like, how do you guys keep this stuff straight now that they've been having to crank out just a whole bunch of them? They're not speeding up the process. The process hasn't sped up, unfortunately. That makes the wait times longer, and then having to get the parts and everything. So that so wait times take longer as far as when you order, but the quality, I've been impressed. Like it has stayed the same as and if not gotten better, because they're focused on one for like multiple days. This person just gets used to doing the exact same thing, which makes it better. So
exactly. Yep. They're running just they're running like just a line of X lights for 2 weeks, and then they switch to the other floor plan. I mean, they get veteranized almost at the end of the process. Where we got that model, and you are exactly right. They build one for half the day, they switch to another model the other half the day, then you're remembering for 3 hours how to do something. You're finally toned in after 4 hours, and that's where your quality issues really come to play. So I'm curious. I'm putting out a poll for you guys. Will this be your first time purchasing an RV? I'll get you the answers to that here in a second. So back to transportation. So they're all created in Elkhart. We established that. Then they have to get to you. If it's Gary out in California, they basically just pull that on a truck with a hauling service. They pull it out there. It's not like they can stack 10 of these on a semi trailer and haul them out there. They just manually take each one out there. If it's a motor home, then they drive it out. So it's a 1-by-1 thing, pretty much. Maybe if it's small, they can get 2, but pretty much 1. And so you can do the math. And if you live in Florida, California, wherever, from Elkhart, check your mileage, because you should have to figure that they're either going to have to increase the price of that in your location. And so say it's 1,000 miles, just to make it easy. And it's between $1.50, $2 to get it out there. So we'll just say $2. That's $2,000. You should see a transportation fee to, maybe $3,000. But if you start seeing like a $4,000 number, $4,500 number, on up, man, that's when you got to start to think, oh, maybe they're taking a little extra out of the transportation side of things. So when you're looking at the price of a RV that's in Ohio, how much do you guys have for a transportation fee to get it? $360 for factory freight.
Okay, so it's $360 to get that you're going to basically pay to get it from Elkhart, Indiana to RV Wholesalers. Then if you decide, hey, I'm going to pick it up at RV Wholesalers in Ohio, we're going to make a road trip of this. We're going to fly in and we're going to drive this thing home to California, whatever. Then you can figure out, okay, well, if I have it shipped out, it's going to cost me the $3,000 or whatever. Or I can just pick it up, save the money. Or I need to, but you need to know, like when you're price shopping, it's like that dealer is going to have to pay for that same transportation to get it to his dealership in Florida as this, someone has to pay for that. So just know that number's got to come out of it somewhere, or unless you take it on yourself and pick it up. But for the most part, you don't want to pay tax on that. Yeah. So a lot of times I think they'll, for example, in Texas, they do this a lot. They'll jack it up $10,000 or more, and that will cover the transportation, the $2,500 for transportation, and the
PDIs and walkthroughs.
So you shouldn't have to pay sales tax on the transportation part. It's not taxable. So have them separate out that number, so it shouldn't be rolled into the full number that you pay, because you don't want to pay tax on that portion. So if it's $4,000 transportation delivery fee, then you don't have to pay the sales tax part on it. So the polls are in 52%. Yes, this is first time purchasing an RV. 47% no. So very cool. And I think you guys are wise to be doing your homework now before your next purchase or for your first purchase. So I'm proud of you guys. Thanks for doing that. Other fees in here. So we did environmental, transportation, pre-delivery, tire replacement. That's a weird one that pops up sometimes, especially in the further states like California, Florida. We see it. And yeah, they'll say, hey, you owe us $1,500 for new tires. You wanted new tires, right, on your RV. It's a brand new RV. We just had to transport it several thousand miles, and the tires that come with it aren't any good. Well, that's not true. Those, you can still get 40, 50,000 miles out of those tires, most likely. And they have tire pressure monitoring systems. So now it's a beautiful thing. Like it gives you an alert when the tires start heating up. So it's getting ready to blow long before it starts causing a crazy accident or anything. So you can get that changed, and it's really not an issue. So there should never be a tire replacement fee. That one is, we've been seeing that one once in a while. Title though, like what you tell us what the price for a dock and title, at least in Ohio, is, and this varies state by state, but.
Yeah, $295. I mean, that's us. Ohio's a forced title state, so we of course have to generate the title over here too. That's us doing all the title work for you guys, and that's also a 45-day tag too, temporary tag, just enough to get you by until you can go to your home state or any local county BMV and register it and get hard plates for it. And also, just like Tim said, I see dealerships rolling that into the total price of the unit too, the unit subtotal. I mean, you're getting taxed on that. Why do you list your fees out and just don't add it to the price of the camper? We keep the $295 and $360 again, are only two fees at the dealership over here. We keep those separate. That way you're not paying tax on them. Yeah.
Nice. A couple questions real quick, and then we're going to dive into our next big buying mistake that people make. Deb asked, is it possible to pick up in Elkhart, Indiana? Actually, no. They used to sell direct, and now, unless you have a dealership there, there's very few dealerships in Elkhart actually, and they're real tiny. But for the most part, you definitely can't pick up at the factory. That's been quite a few years. I think there was one company that held out till about 2 years ago, and then they all go through dealer networks. That way you can be taken care of with through the dealerships and stuff.
And again, and you want that camper to get double checked by us. You really do.
Right. Yeah.
Again, they're humans. They might make something mistake.
Ready for the end user. They really depend on actually the dealership to clean them and everything, all the sawdust, everything. That's not part of their quality control. Their quality control is everything working, everything complete, not everything looking great for the customer. Like that's the job of the dealership. It really is. And
just like the car world, I mean, and unless you're unless you're high up in Ford, I mean, you're not going to Ford and picking a car out. I mean, it's just about like anything else.
Yeah. So, very good. Let's move on. Let's keep on moving. Okay. So like we said, the goal is to not get a lemon. Some people are looking at used and different things. We're going to talk about that right now, actually, not getting the most for your trade-in. So, we just talked about PDI, but Nathan, what's your recommendation? Okay, so folks here, like, how do they get the most for their trade-in, or what do you say if someone says, and we want to trade in an RV and get a new one, like right now, like with the way things are out there in the market, like what's your recommendation?
Yeah. So first things first, I kindly tell them, you're almost crazy to trade in right now. I mean, you really are. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Get on Marketplace, RV Trader. I mean, there's customers out there that bought 5 years ago, and they're getting more money than what they bought 5 years ago from these RVs on used.
Yeah, that's true. There was a lady that came in. She actually drove all the way from Washington, her and her husband and their dog, Patches or something, I think was the name of it. And they came to buy a new Rockwood, and they said they had a 5-year-old Rockwood, and they sold it right before they came out, and they got more money than they paid for it 5 years ago. So
exactly,
and they beat the snot. They said they use that thing hard. Like they took it to Alaska, across all these like bumpy like dirt roads out there in Alaska, and like to see their daughter and stuff. And they used it hard, and they said that thing held up, and they got more than they paid for it, which is awesome. So and we see that a lot. Like if you buy it, if you get it at the right price. And in fact, well, I went camping. Nathan McCreary, who does the virtual RV show with me.
Cash Explosion, yeah.
His wife and David McCreary, and our family went camping last fall in October. And at the campground, this other couple was there, Chris and Christy, and they came in a 7-year-old travel trailer, and it pretty much was the same layout as David McCreary's. I mean, almost identical, except David's was brand new, never been used, and it had all the bells and whistles, the latest model, and all that. So they're looking at it and they're like, yeah, we paid $6,000 for this, or $16,000 for this one 3 years ago. It was 4 years old. We love it. It's great layout, blah, blah, blah. But they really like David's new one because it was nice. And so they asked me, like, how much is this one? And I felt bad telling them, but it was $15,500. It was a Wildwood FX. And it was less than what they paid for their used one, like 3 years ago for a 4-year-old RV. So so if you get good pricing on a new one, man, it's worth it.
Yeah, you overpay on. I mean, you pay $5,000 more than what that unit was worth brand new and 5 years ago. How are you? You're not going to hold on to it the rest of your life. How are you going to resell that thing? I mean, you're going to be so far deep into that unit that you're never going to be able to sell it unless you're prepared to lose a ton of money on it.
Yeah. So people that you threw out a couple ideas, I want to just make sure you said Facebook Marketplace. So take a camera, just get some pictures, and people will come from like multiple states. It's crazy, right?
Huge. Yeah. I use a lot to buy and sell products, all kinds of.
Oh, yeah.
Buy a couple cars here and there, farm equipment, that kind of stuff here for the family. Buy and sell. Last year and the year before, this year, you can't really touch anything because it's so inflated. But the cool thing is you can actually go on there, click on the people's profile and just see if they're a good person, if you don't trust them coming to your property. So it's super safe. There's plenty of safe zones out now, a lot of sheriff's departments, Walmarts, they have cameras outside. They'll let you meet up with the people, and that way everything's, right there in front of a camera in case something was to get a little sticky.
Could you help folks? I know you have that big NADA book that has the values they get like every month at the office there. Can you, if someone asks like, hey, can you help us figure out what the book value is? Could you look it up for them? I'm going to put up your contact information. Is this right?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Yes, sir.
So this is Nathan's contact information. If you have questions, any questions really, like, because we're not going to get through all the questions here. Don't be afraid to reach out to Nathan. Write this number down. I'll put it up again at the end. But
Yeah, and if I'm too busy, I do run a sales team over here. I'll
Okay.
have the other two guys that are my sales partners getting a hold of you guys too. So it's not just me. There's a whole team of us here ready to take you guys on. So
yeah, so he can help look up pricing for your used one if you're going to sell it outright. Like he said, you're better off just doing that. Facebook Marketplace, RV Trader, if you want to spend a few dollars, it's not much to list it there. It's a good place too. And yeah, no doubt you'll sell that thing quick. And then this is another question. If you are buying used and new doesn't make sense for you or just not right at this point, I get this question sometimes. Is there private or inspectors that we can hire? So I don't know, $300-ish. These guys will come out and do an inspection for you. nrvia.org or lemonsquad.com. Those are just a couple of places you can get some inspectors if you need to check out a used one or something if that's better for you guys. So anyways, helpful tips. Thanks, Nathan, for that.
Yeah.
And let's talk about financing, understanding terms and RV financing. It's a little different, right, than cars. Can you explain just like some of the difference on the financing side? And then I can't wait for him to tell you, but like we're going to ask him about this right here, the big dealer financing secret. So that's coming up. That right there is worth like this hour of waiting. That will save you a lot of money. So I won't explain it yet, but what's the deal with RV financing? How's that different than cars?
Yeah, so they're going to be stretched out longer. That's just how the bank likes to look at them. People will be like, I can get this year term, this year interest rate on a car. It's completely backwards. The longer you guys stretch an RV loan out, the better the interest rate is. Just because the bank looks at that, the longer you stretch it out, the smaller your payment's going to be. So what do? The less chance of you missing it. So how the bank pictures an RV vehicle, any recreational vehicle. I mean, you guys have a house, you guys have a car payment, maybe another payment somewhere in there, and then you have a camper. If stuff ever hits the fan down the road, economy-wise, you guys lose your jobs, medical bills start piling up. Everyone knows how crazy those can get. You're going to miss the camper payment. You guys need your house to live in. You guys need your vehicle to get to work and keep making money. So that's generally why the interest rate might be a tad bit higher than what most people are used to in the auto loan, but it's going to be across the board on the rec just a tad bit higher just because of that.
Yeah. But say you have a 15-year term or 20-year, whatever. If you purpose to pay that in half the time, say a 10-year instead of 20 years, you'll actually be further ahead. You'll get the better interest rate as you stretch it out, but then you'll be further ahead by far. And so that when you compare it, it's hard to compare it to like a 2.5% 5-year car loan because you're actually getting that same rate. You're actually getting a better rate when you stretch it out, get the lowest term, the long term, and then you pay it off in half the time. You'll actually be further ahead. So
exactly, it's all simple interest, guys.
Yeah.
Any payment above the minimum is going to go right to the principal. Interest is calculated off the principal that's left open on the loan. So, like for example, my cash people haven't had one of those in quite some time. They come in here, they finance, our minimum here that you can keep a loan open with one of our lenders is 1 year. And that's going to be, so they come in here, they find out their monthly payment, they times it by 12, set that aside, make those 12, minuscule monthly payments, write off a check the first month right to the principal, and they pay about $180 a year for that whole interest, and then it's paid off. So that's kind of a cool little trick. So everything's all simple interest, pay it off in half the time, and the interest rate simply almost cut in half.
Yeah, nice. All right. I've been anxious for number 4 here. So what's this big dealer finance secret, man? You got to tell them. I did not know this until I started working with you guys down there. And I had no idea this was how the finance world worked in this area. So
yeah, so it's as simple as anything that you guys have ever financed, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, cars, houses. With that dealership.
This works more than just RVs is what you're saying?
Exactly. You guys can walk into pretty much any dealership. If you're generating a loan, you need to ask them about the back end money. That's essentially once that loan's generated, that dealership's getting paid out. You know that you're bringing that bank business, so they're going to reward you. They're going to give you some money kickback. That's what we do over here is give you guys the finance discount, the back end money.
So you're saying, okay, I want to make sure I got this. So people that finance anything, whether it's a boat or an RV or whatever, the bank gives the dealership money for doing that, right? Which that makes sense. So they get a few $100s for writing this loan, or I mean, how much are we talking about here?
Add a couple more zeros to that. You generate like let's use.
I'm just I didn't know this, but I am surprised every time I hear it, just because it's you know, at first, it makes sense that they get some money for the paperwork, but we're talking thousands of dollars, right? So they're getting thousands of dollars added. I don't know. I remember the owners of RV Wholesalers, Dave and Mike, talking about it. It's like they had, sold some RVs. All of a sudden they got this check from the bank. Like, what's this check for? Like, why are we getting, this must be a mistake or something. They call them up. They find out, no, this is, what do you call it? A dealer reserve? Is that what the official term is?
Official, dealer reserve.
That's your kickback check, basically. And you're like, what? Like, we already built in our profit margin, we covered our expenses, we took care of our customers. We have, we weren't counting on this piece. So they were very surprised. And so when you just mentioned they like to give it back as a discount, kind of a refund or a discount. What do you call it? Finance discount.
Finance discount. And that ranges. I mean, the smallest one I can think of off my head is $2,000. That's for about a $25,000 trailer. And sometimes, depending on the manufacturer, they can even range to $3,500 for that same price of trailer, all the way up to a big redwood, $110,000, $120,000 fifth wheel. I mean, we give you guys back $10,000.
Okay, so
back in money.
There's a lot of money that's happening. Like, that's going from the bank to the dealership. Very rarely does anyone ever talk about that. In fact, I think, and you need to kind of hold this card when you go in to buy your next car too. Just work out your deal, and at the very end, it's like, so salesman Jay, how much of the dealer reserve will you be giving back to me? Like, what percentage or what part of that how much, is that going to be that you're going to give back to me if I do the financing through you guys? And just watch them squirm. And sometimes sales guys don't even know about it. Like, I think half the sales force doesn't even know that this is happening.
Yeah, let me grab my manager real quick.
Right, yeah, they'll go get a manager. And then, of course, they know, like the F&I guy or the finance guy, they know that they are getting money. In fact, when they say, hey, we have 16 different banks, we're going to shop and get the best rate for you, make sure you're getting the best, lowest interest rate. You know what they're really shopping a lot of times? They're shopping to see which bank's going to give them the biggest kickback or the biggest dealer reserve, which is sad, but that's really that's their motivation for shopping. It's not to make sure that you get the best interest rate. And sometimes they don't even give you the best interest rate if they can get more money from the bank on the dealer reserve. So
yeah, and then again, foolish to send it off to 15 banks to shop around for yourself when you're hurting your customers' credit score. In the meantime, to do that is again something it's hard to agree with what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're going to take some credit dings just for that fact. So you may want to just tell them like, hey, just go with the bank that you've seen the best rates with, that gives us the best dealer reserve, and then let's split that. And yeah, just be upfront with them, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for some of that money back. And then I know there's some folks like you were talking about, cash buyers, and like your plan, because a lot of times they've, some of these folks here, I'm sure, have worked hard and saved and like been real diligent and have the money to buy the RV straight out, and they don't want to throw away a bunch of money on interest, which is awesome. And so, like, I like your idea. So it's really just a 12-month commitment. You can pay that thing off all on the very first payment. So really, you just have those minimum payments for 12 months for the other 11 months. and all you're really throwing away $150 on interest to get $5,000 on, what did you call it, your dealer, or
kickback.
Finance discount.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're again, those 12 payments are accumulation of about $3,000 total. You pay off the whole balance of the camper besides those 12 payments. You're only paying interest on that $3,000 that you guys leave open. Again, $180, $200 for the whole year of interest. And the reason we do the 12-month thing, we actually don't get that kickback until that customer physically makes their 12th payment. We just go ahead and give it up to you guys up front.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Thanks for giving us that big deal of finance. Let's take a couple of questions, dive in here and see what's going on. Fred had a comment about pricing, how he saw now what a new one that was 106,000 now 3-year-old one is 120,000. It's crazy on the used side. And just a reminder, we'll have a replay that's coming out to all of you about 2 hours after. Look for an email. And Gary says, as a newbie, would you suggest purchasing a new RV Class C versus a used unit? Plan is to move from California to South Carolina and then rent it out. Oh, the renting out is genius. Like you can, I think that's a great idea to rent it. We have one of our programmers here. He purchased one, and he's been doing that very successfully. So, I mean, if it's not for everybody, obviously, but there's enough insurance and different things that come with the packages. If you use a reputable rental service online, that takes all the fear out of it. So, so what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I hit on Gary's question here. Motor homes is, again, one of the tricky used aspects of things. You guys have essentially a automobile with a camper on top of it. So they have to worry about servicing the transmission, servicing the motor on timely intervals, make sure that the diff fluid's changed out. I mean, there's 100 things to service on this motor home. If they miss one of them, that's kind of when stuff starts adding up. Typically, they're a little hectic to get to, and service times are almost double of that of a hood of a car that you can just pop open. Stuff seems a little bit more smashed in the Class C, even the Class A's, all the motor homes. Your service, you're going to be paying what might be $200 of labor for a power steering pump on a car, might be $800 on the camper just because they're spending 4 hours trying to get to the thing. That's big thing I hit on is maintenance. Again, if they did not do any maintenance on that motor home, be prepared to spend a lot of money out of pocket. If you can find a new unit for just a tad bit more than a used unit or the same price as a used unit, hop on the new. That chassis warranty, 50,000 miles, 3 years, whatever it might be on that motor home. Any repairs that those renters damage or something on that vehicle is going to be paid out by the factory. Just a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Judith just asked, I'm down in Louisiana. Would it be better to go to RVW in Texas opposed to Ohio? How's your inventory? So Texas is a new location, Dodge City, Texas, for RV wholesalers. So real minimal inventory. Sometimes they're doing more taking orders, and then they're coming in there and they're PDIing them, checking them, and fixing anything if they need to there. But they have a facility to do repairs and everything there, but not a lot of inventory. So if you need to see a variety of different ones, like physically you want to see it. But man, we can do everything virtually too. We can walk around with cameras. We've got videos on these things, a lot of pictures.
Yeah. I do a ton of FaceTimes with my customers, just getting out there, video chatting with the unit. If they want to touch and feel, people call me crazy as a salesman to say this, because I'm confident with myself and my dealership that they won't fall for the lies of that dealership. I suggest you guys go local. I mean, try a local place, see if they have the camper, kind of tell the salesman, I'm just kind of looking, get them off your back a little bit. And if you like it, call me and save some money. So that's kind of how I like to pitch things.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I forget who it was asking about different models. So in the world, what I've found over in Elkhart world, we'll call it capital RVs, I've found that, in fact, there's multiple brands coming out of the same factory. They're exact same, but just different labels. So it's really important. Just kind of, I'd say, let's just stop back. Like we talked about RV, that's the category. Let's go back and talk about basically how you have to make some decisions. But basically, when you get to the floor plan decision, like I want the kitchen here, I want this, we need to be able to do this. Those are the kind of things you'll talk through with a salesperson. and really make sure you're comfortable with the layout. And then most of them are the same. I mean, 70% of all the RV parts are made by one company called Lippert. They build the chassis, they build all the appliances, everything. They all come from one, and then they go to these different brands and models and makes. And it's really about you figuring out like what's really going to work for the flow of our family. Do we have pets? Do we have kids that need bunk rooms? And once you figure that out, and then you have to figure out if you're going to pull it or drive it. Do I want a vehicle, a tow vehicle that I can drive around the community or the areas where we're camping, or is it okay to have it all one big unit? And then, what are some other questions that you'd want to ask when you're kind of going through this process, Nathan? Just kind of figuring out
fiberglass, metal. That's always a big thing here. If you guys want aluminum siding,
here.
Yep.
So there's two different types of construction. One's a laminated with aluminum sidewalls. You're going to pay more for that, but it's a very durable, long-lasting thing. If you're not going to have it for 20 years, then the conventional construction where it's it's got fiberglass. It's like a house base. They build it on top of the chassis, and then it has siding, aluminum siding. So it's easier to replace the siding if something gets damaged compared to the laminated, but it's it's going to be less expensive for that type of construction. So that's one of their big decisions you have to make. And then, that's pretty much it. But you can find, make some models. You can pretty much find, you sell a lot of Forest River, like they'll have a whole bunch of different things that pretty much match all the other ones. So
they're so close. Like just for Rockwood, for example, if you're going to tell me, I want a Murphy bed, I want double over bunks in the back, I can think of 10 other companies that make that same exact floor plan. I mean, your chances of utilizing those 10 companies and trying to find one local to you to look at even is going to be actually pretty high, to tell you the truth, as long as you can kind of picture the floor plan and just realize the touch and feel might be a little bit different. But other than that, I mean, they all pretty much use the same floor plans.
Yeah. Gary said, asked if he could call you with questions as he's getting close to buying and all that. So totally, Gary.
Yeah, for sure, Gary. Even if you don't buy off me, I'll gladly help you during the whole entire process.
Yeah. So, and then my email is just, you can just hit reply to the email that you get about the webinars and stuff, and that'll go to me, and then I can get it to an expert if I don't know the answer to that too. So, but we'll definitely, Nathan can help you guys out as it gets a little more complicated. Couple more questions, and then we're going to talk about warranties. And then I've got a special thing, a little offer that we can do at the very end for you guys that stick with us to the end. Appreciate it. Daryl, has the technology changed for the roof so it will be more durable and resistant to leaks? So, that is, when you buy a camper, an RV, typically you get basically a 1-year warranty for the most part. Then we'll talk about extended coverages here in just a minute, so we won't talk about that. And then a lot of times the roofs have some extra time on them, right? What do you see typically?
They do. I see anywhere from 12 to 15 years and all the way to lifetime.
Yeah.
A lot of people, there's a reason they have not changed, because they work. Believe it or not, they work for many years. There is no reason to change them. That's kind of what the manufacturers are thinking. It really all comes down to maintenance. Again, I'll hit on that. People aren't sealing them. They aren't sealing them, every 6 months, every year, whatever that manufacturer might call for, and they're having leaks. So.
And it's pretty easy. Like if you're not comfortable using a little ladder to climb up there, it's pretty easy to hire someone that can do it. But it's really all you're doing is going up, looking for cracks in around anything that they sealed in, so the air conditioners and different things. There'll be a bead of caulk over a couple of years. The sun will beat on it. It'll start to fade. All you do is just scrape that out, put a new bead in with just a typical caulk gun, and then there's a little quart or a gallon of a rubber sealant, and you just take a brush and you just brush over top of that. So it's a pretty simple thing, I mean, it's easy to get someone that can help you with that.
Yeah. Again, some of the videos that we do over here is the service side of things, and YouTube. I mean, there's probably 100,000 videos on there, how to seal a roof. And kind of the cool thing, again, campers come in flocks. So I've heard of, especially campgrounds around my area and all over the country, there's actually groups of people in that campground that will go around there every year for pennies on the dollar and seal people's roofs for them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that YouTube, just go to youtube.com, search for RV Wholesalers, and then hit subscribe. If you do that today, then you'll get a whole collection of how-to videos, like how to seal your roof, how to light how to light your stoves and different things. Some stuff that I learned the hard way when I went camping. So that's all great there. So more questions. Nancy asks, is it hard to drive Class C? Actually, my first time driving Class C, I was a little nervous. I mean, I got a brand new $100,000 unit, and I'm going down the road. It's not even mine. And so I go to flip on the turn signal to go to change lanes. And I kid you not, a little screen popped up right in the middle. It was like, there was a side camera. Showed me everything. So like when I went to churn, I didn't have to worry about like driving over the curb or anything. There was a side camera on the thing, back cameras, side cameras. It was awesome. Like it was so much easier than I thought.
And just to hit on Class C, I mean, most of the time they're built on truck chassis, guys. So you honestly have the same cockpit almost most trucks have nowadays. I mean, it's going to be the same dashboard as if you have a Ford F-250, F-350 of the same year. So you kind of get that little cozy cockpit feeling to where you kind of forget that you're driving such a big vehicle. Class A, a little bit white knuckle if you're not used to them, and you're going to kind of feel that they're big. You get over the fact that they're pretty much a bus. Again, Class C, you're a small cockpit, nice and cozy, and kind of forget that you're feeling it. So typically those are going to be the easiest to drive of the motorhomes.
Yeah, Kathy asked about towing capacity. So that's the other decision. Yeah, if you have a vehicle, how much can it tow? So then you kind of start with that before you pick out your trailer size if you already have a tow vehicle. Or vice versa if you're getting ready to buy a tow vehicle. So I created a little thing. I don't even know if I told you about this, Nathan. So this was actually a big project. It's called towingcalculator.org. I'm going to put that in the chat here. So towingcalculator.org. Go there. It's a free site. But basically we entered in the towing capacity for every single vehicle out there. And we did it over 12 years, 12 or 13 years. And so we've got 190,000 data points in this thing. It's huge. And so it will, any kind of car, whether it's a BMW SUV to a F-150, there's 100 different types. So it asks for the engine types and all the information you need. It's very simple. It's like 4 questions. You pick it out of the list and it'll send it to you right then. So
Google, guys, sometimes gets a bit confusing unless you find a good website like Mr. Richardson we're just talking about there. You'll get on Google, type the year in, and then it gives you a number, and it might be 4,000 pounds. Well, that's for the smaller engine that they make. That's for the 4-cylinder. That's for the V6. That's not the big V8 you have. Little do you know that you could tow 10,000 pounds, and it's not 4,000. I took a deposit on a trailer one day, and they called me, and they were almost on the verge of crying. We can't pull this trailer. We Googled the towing capacity of our Tahoe. Little did they know they had the big engine. They had the big truck chassis underneath the Tahoe, and they were just fine. I mean, they were like 8,000 pounds more than what the trailer weighed that they could tow. So,
okay, good. So speaking of that, so when you find out exactly what your towing capacity is, what's some things you should keep in mind? Like, don't forget that you have to pull not only the trailer, but all your gear and stuff. So I don't know, how much do you add typically?
Travel trailer route. I mean, you generally can go from about 1,600 all the way to 3,000 pounds of cargo. Keep in mind, guys, that max cargo weight on the trailer. I mean, that's with your tanks all the way full. That's with every possible thing that you could bring with you to equal that weight. So generally, I try to kind of stay away from looking at the GVWR on the trailer. because I don't recommend towing with your tanks all the way full. They get to sloshing around. It really does make for a bad towing experience. So generally what I will do is on the door sticker, inside door of the driver door, most automakers will put the towing capacity in there right on that little sticker. So that's also another easy way. And I like to stay around 80% of my max towing to alleviate for if you're climbing a mountain for extended periods of times, burning up your transmission. That's kind of the big key points I like to look for.
So I have about a 20% buffer between what towing capacity is and what would you call it on the trailer? Like, what's the number that you're looking at on the trailer?
I look at the dry weight, but I also I try to add a couple 100 pounds. I mean, most people, you got pots, pans, some clothing, some firewood. I mean, you're not going to get 3,000 pounds of cargo inside that trailer. You're really not.
Okay. So dry weight plus a few 100 pounds to cover your stuff. And then don't push it right up to the limit on your towing calculation.
Exactly. And then the toy hauler people, they do have to be a little bit careful. That's when you can, pack a huge side-by-side in there. They throw a quad in there. They throw a generator in the back, all the riding equipment, extra sets of tires. That's when you have to be careful. The toy hauler people really do need to, hit up some weigh stations, see where they're at, make sure that they're not going to hurt something or hurt somebody. The second that, somebody tells me, oh, I can pull it, and then they come to find out they're 4,000 pounds over, and they go through a stop sign and hit a family van with their kids in it. That's really when I take it very serious.
Phew, yeah. So Sandra asking where you're located. You're at RV Wholesalers. RVWholesalers.com is the website. But you guys are physically located about 45 minutes northwest of Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, yeah, right off 33 in Lakeview,
Ohio. If you go to this place, they don't even have that they're really selling as low as they can. They don't have paved parking lots. They're out in the middle of cornfields. Who buys from a dealership out there? But they have their service center. Everything is out there. But Rick asked, okay, so that's great. If I'm buying, I don't know where Rick's at, but his home state, say it's in Washington, way out there, as far away from you guys as he can get. And he goes camping, he breaks down, air conditioner quits working, whatever. How do you get service? Because it seems like it always happens. If I buy from my local dealer, I never go camping right in my town. If I'm going camping, I'm going 3 states away and doing something that we've never done. We're getting ready to go to Tennessee next week for a few days with our family down in the mountains there. And if something's going to happen according to Murphy's Law, it's going to happen when I'm in Tennessee, not when I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, right near the RV dealer or whatever.
They don't break sitting in your driveway, guys.
Can you explain? Because I think it's pretty cool what you guys had to develop 21 years ago when you started selling these things online. Can you explain how you solved that problem for Rick?
Yeah. So we tackled the price. That's something that I don't talk a lot about with my customers. They probably come to me because of our pricing. I immediately start hitting on service. Joe Schmo out there, and let's say you buy the camper in Montana, so to say, he's going to tell you that you can take it just about any Forest River dealer in the country and get it worked on. Not a Ford, not a Chevy there, guys. Camper dealers are not contracted through the manufacturer to work on people's stuff. They're not. So if you didn't buy it from them, they might agree to work on it. They might agree to work on it 4 months down the road when he gets all of his customers taken care of first. So over the years, we just established a nationwide service network. That's going to be plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, mobile RV repairmen, other dealerships. We just assembled all these service centers. And what that really is that's hearsay, guys. So the quality of these service centers are very high because I might sell to somebody out in California. He might have a problem. One of his buddies is an RV tech. All they do is he calls our dealership or we call them and say, hey, you should work underneath this. You should get contracted. So a lot of those service centers are hearsay, which generally means to me that they're going to be a very high quality service center if word of mouth recommended them.
Yeah. And you guys have vetted them over 20 some years. So it's you're getting close to 3,000 now, 2,900 and some last I checked.
Yeah.
service centers across. So pretty much wherever you're at, they have people that relate.
Yeah.
And
your AC goes out, guys. I mean, you're hot, you're down there in Florida or something, your trip's done. I know I'm not sitting inside of a tin can, so to say, sweating to death. I'm really not. I'm not going to I can't take it back to my local dealer states away and get it worked on. Dealer down the road says, hey, you didn't buy it from me. I'm not going to work on it. I call RV Wholesaler Service Center. They get in touch with one of the local service centers. We're actually going to schedule the appointment for the customer. People know how wait times are nowadays. Yeah. You do not want to spend 3 hours of your camping trip on the phone trying to get an appointment scheduled. That's another big thing I do want to hit on that we offer here, RVW bill pay. So when you have a normal warranty problem, you're going to forfeit that $3,000 repair, but you're going to get paid. You're going to get it paid out, of course. You're going to get reimbursed for that. Little do you know, it's could be 3 years, 13 payments. They're pretty bad about paying lump sum. I will admit that. They're going to pay you $200 this week.
Well, I've been in there in the office and listened to the warranty people trying to get the money from the factory. I'm like, oh my word, like how they deal with this every day. It's like pulling teeth, like, just pay us. Like, here's pictures, here's proof. We fixed this, we did this. I'm like, I can't imagine like individuals having to do that for all these warranty claims, things that they have to wait forever to fix. So
that front the bill and wait to get reimbursed from the factory. I mean, not a lot to say on that.
Warranties. I want to talk about extended service contracts. I know some people may have to go. Don't feel bad if you have to leave. We'll send you the link. If you stick to the very end, have a little special, something to make it worth your while, hopefully, for a few of you. And but warranties, I'm going to hit this really fast. You need to know about service contracts because they are, I didn't think they were important as a kid. Like my dad always taught me, like, don't waste your money on that, like for electronics and things. But when I started camping and driving these things around these bumpy roads, especially the guy that's from Michigan, like that's the worst. Like when I take the camper up there, like I come back and like have to get a back adjustment and all kinds of stuff. So it's like driving a house, down a road, like through a tornado or something. I mean, it's like shaking and nothing's built to, like to handle that really. I mean, they try to make their appliances, special like that, but you can't just go to Home Depot and like, the fridge went out. I'll just go to Home Depot or Lowe's, It's a 12 volt and it runs on propane and it costs $3,000, whatever, like you have to special order it from Lippert, and you just can't buy it.
Yeah. I'll use Rockwood for example, guys. I'm not ever worried about a structural problem on a Rockwood or really any trailer nowadays. Structural problems are kind of rare unless you get super, super old trailer. I'm worried about the third-party components. That stuff after the 1 year that most of the manufacturers don't cover. Fridge goes out in 2 years. I mean, there's $1,800. I mean, refrigerator or AC unit goes out. I mean, there's $1,400. It's all the third-party components that these campers are filled with that I'm worried about. Another huge thing that a lot of people always forget about, that little slide out seal that goes around the slide out to prevent water from getting in. A factory cannot warranty rubber, so that's not covered. If that's got to be replaced, guys, if that goes bad, that whole room of the coach has to come out. That's about $3,000-$4,000 to fix right there. And most extended coverages, especially the ones we carry, will cover that seal.
See, Art, thanks for watching. Back to the warranty thing, though. Ray asked, can we buy it for used? And yes, good question. Actually, it's pretty impressive that you can buy these things even multiple years after you've had a camper and it's used and you just buy it for yourself and you want to cover it. I'm going to put the name RVing Solutions has been good at for used kind of things. So what's the guy's name that works over there?
Mr. Von Miller.
Von Miller. Okay. I'm going to put this, I'm typing this in right now. Ask for Von. But yeah, you can get these things on used ones. So RVing Solutions, that'll help you out there, Ray. And so two types of warranties, service contracts. They're really officially called. So you've got stated, which basically when you get a contract it's called stated coverage. When you buy one of those, they state what is actually covered in your contract. So we're going to cover the refrigerator. We're going to cover this. We're going to cover that. So it'll be a long list, 30, 40, 50 items, whatever it is. Those are what they're going to cover. And that's typically what you see a lot of dealerships, like the big chain dealerships, like the Good Sam, kind of that's what they're usually selling. They usually sell it for a pretty high price. So it almost looks like the opposite one, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. But that's called stated. The thing you got to watch with stated, and some of them are good. And if you just need a little bit of coverage, and there's something you're really worried about, that may be the way to go. But what happens sometimes is, say the fridge is covered, but the inverter isn't covered. It goes bad. It screws up the fridge by sending the wrong power to it, and now the fridge goes bad. Well, there's a clause in the stated typically that says if something else that's not covered causes this to go bad, then that's not covered. So you got to watch out for that. So that's stated coverage. And almost like the opposite backside of that is you invert that, and then you have what we call exclusionary coverage. This is the one that really pays the bills. So if you're going to spend money on a warranty, I would say get something that pays the bills that you're not going to be frustrated with. Warranty is not for everyone, but exclusionary is the coverage that really does pay the bills. And the reason it is it only lists the things that are excluded. So everything, the whole thing is covered, excluding these items. It would be items from brake pads, like wear and tear stuff.
Wear and tear. Yep.
Yeah, those kind of things are excluded, right? So you're going to pay, I don't know. I mean, if you're budgeting, plan on maybe 10% or a little less for a really good coverage like that, like an exclusionary coverage, pays the bills. It's transferable. So if you sell it, you can either sell it, or if you haven't used it, the claims, then you can prorate and give you back the money that the years that you didn't use it.
Prorated refund back.
There's a lot of stuff in there too, like food spoil. I mean, all kinds of stuff. If things go down, then
hotel stays, everything like that. We did hit on the electrical and mechanical side of warranties. Real quick here, I will just touch on, we do like a paint and fab. Cool thing here, I have my truck with that. It's going to be a complete ceramic coat inside and outside the unit. So everybody knows how campers fade. So that's a cool thing. Scotch guard on the interior, rips, tears, punctures, all that good stuff. And then another cool little one I will hit on here is a tire and wheel. And that's blowouts. That's us paying, the tow vehicle, towing cost. When your tow vehicle is connected to that camper, your tow vehicle is covered underneath that coverage too.
I love this picture because it reminds you, it's kind of like the domino effect. Like, seems like when the stuff starts breaking, it's like click, click, click. It's like with the warranties, the extended service contracts, you can really stick your hand in there and not have to worry about it. So it lets you focus on the joy of camping and not the headaches of having to worry about paying for all this stuff that could go wrong or will go wrong. So anyways, as a thank you for watching, if you take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this, email Nathan and Anderson, RV Wholesalers. If you email him and just put in the title of the email 500 or something like that. But the first two people that are getting serious about buying RV in the next couple of days, if you send this in, he's going to give you $500 credit towards delivery. So if you're out of Ohio, if you're in Ohio, it's free. But if you're out of Ohio, $500 off the delivery fee or a $500 credit towards the purchase price. So can you do that, Nathan?
I sure can.
Boss,
you don't have to twist my arm very much.
I could do that as a kind of a thank you for people hanging out. So snap a picture of it, or just so we know that you watched this thing to the end, and you're like right there, all equipped. You got all the knowledge now that we could give you in 1 hour. Hopefully not too much, but yeah, great.
I'll hit on Sanders' question here just real quick, Tim, if we do have time. We'll actually, so it won't start after your 1 year's up. We'll actually overlap the coverage just because, like I said, there's tons and tons of holes in the factory warranty. We want that coverage to start as soon as that camper leaves this lot. That way you guys are protected if the factory doesn't want to cover something.
Okay. Did you get that email where they went through and they highlighted the factory warranty, like what's not covered? Oh my word. Like there's so many loopholes in that thing. After I read that, I was like, okay, I gotta help people make sure. I don't care where you buy your RV or whatever. Like, really consider that service contract, because don't expect much from the factory is what I'm saying. And I'm not putting factories down, but they do not. They have a lot of loopholes in there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it. It's in the paperwork. But oh my word! So very cool. Well, thank you guys. When you're saying goodbye, just put in like your dream, like what you want to use an RV for. I'm always fascinated to see, if you have time, just type it in and like, hey, like mine is this right here. I'll show you mine. This is mine. I want to take an RV and go see this. I've not seen Mount Rushmore, and my family has not seen it, which is crazy. But
I thought you were on there for a second, Tim. I was looking real close.
No, hopefully someday we get to see this. I don't know, but tell me what you guys want to do with an RV, or maybe it's just taking the kids to softball games or whatever. But that'd be awesome. But yeah, we'll send out the email. About 2 hours it takes time it gets uploaded, and that will be in your inbox in about 2 hours. So thank you guys, and we can't to get you out there camping. So the other thing we didn't really talk about was price protecting. Really watch out in your contracts. When you do these sales agreements, what we're seeing is most dealers, in fact, I don't know of any dealers that really is saying, hey, you said this is the price for the RV. When you come to pick it up, that's still the price 3 months later. Because there's so many factory price increases. We didn't really talk about this, but there's a ton of factory price increases we've been seeing, like out of control. Like 4% today, 2 weeks later, another 3%, ends up being 16, 20% over, a few month window. Now they're expecting you guys to pay for that when you come to pick it up. Like, oh, well, there's a little clause in there that says if the factory increases the price, then you're responsible for the difference. Well, I mean, what else do you buy where the price goes up like that from the time you put your deposit down? Well, it's happening. So make sure you get it in writing that price isn't you're not going to pay $1 more or you get your deposit back. And they kind of catch you there. So be careful. I love this idea. Shay says heading to national parks, state parks, homeschooling. What a better way. I mean, I can't think of a better way to learn and do school than, hey, let's go to this place. Let's go here and learn about history in the making. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Hey, Nathan, appreciate you taking time. I know you're really busy. Thanks for taking time to answer questions and help figure this all out for everybody.
Great. Again, I do appreciate you having me on here, Tim. You don't have to buy from me. I simply just want to educate people. I do not want anybody to get burned by kind of the shady tactics going on nowadays.
So Nancy's going out to any federal park west of Mississippi. Well, don't go to Zion National Park in Utah yet. They just had a flash flood yesterday, 2 days ago, and they're still cleaning it up. It's kind of a mess, but won't be long. It'll be clean though. But yeah, in 1 hour they got an inch of rain. Just you see like the RVs like getting swamped out there and everything. It's pretty sad, but it's coming back. All right, happy camping, guys. See you guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah, bye.